estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Huge show this week. Brand new show for 2024. All kind of awesome stuff going on. So we're got a lot to talk about, a lot to look back on. We're going to go look back at the 2023 real estate market, see how he stacked up. Been waiting for this data fresh off the print, so to speak, to look and see how we stacked up. We did have a brutal December in terms of closed deals. Kind of talked about, predicted that happening, so we could just see the pending deals slow down. We'll talk about the lowest amount of sales in December in years and years and years. But thankfully, hopefully, we may see that bounce back a little bit with some of that pent-up demand as rates did come back down. They hit a nice 7-month low, then it's jumped back up a little bit most recently. We'll talk about what's going on there, what to look out for, because everyone expected them to keep going down. They didn't. They've kind of come back up a little bit, but they're still in pretty good numbers based on where they've been the past few months. So we'll go over the last month's brand new macro numbers too. We'll look at how did December compare. We'll also look at how the last 12 months compare overall in that scenario. We'll also look at, hey, look, here's some simple tips on how to get your house ready for sale in this winter to spring market, right? The post-holiday market, how to do that, what's going on, how to make sure that you can position your house properly with simple and easy stuff to get, top dollar on that. We'll talk about some of those in that scenario. We'll talk about what's going on with pending deals here locally, also nationally. They did slow down nationally. They slowed down locally. They did start to bounce back up here just in the past couple of weeks, which was an awesome in that scenario. Also, as usual, just to mention, my team has an amazing, very large investment fund that's looking to buy properties here, cash, right? Commercial, residential, building, land, condo, self-storage, whatever it is, cash as is, simple, easy, very fair versus a lot of those investors out there who are not licensed, who are pennies on the dollar. We have a great fund that pays a very, very fair price, very flexible on closing, can close in a little as a few days or as long as a few months, whatever you want to do with that. Also, this year, our team is growing again. We have not backspin down at all when a lot of agents been running for the hills. And so we're looking to grow our team. Anyone out there thinking about getting to a great career in real estate, want to serve at the highest level with the #1 real estate team in Myrtle Beach, top 50, I think 57, 58 in the country. Reach out to me. We also have a scholarship for the right candidates. We'll pay for your real estate school to get you licensed, and then we train you up through our system that's proprietary to help get you making sure you're delivering to clients at the highest level. And as usual, some amazing success stories that we've absolutely crushed it through the holidays. But we have one goal on this show, the same goal we've had for, I think, right now, be our 15th year maybe on the show, 14, 15 year. This show's been going on, but we just want to keep you updated on anything and everything real estate related here on the Grand Strand. For most people, the real estate's one of their largest assets, and so it's important to make good decisions with those, have great strategies behind how you operate with that. And so we want to keep you updated every single week. If you ever want to go back and listen to any of these or watch these again, we do stream them online. Just go search Blake Sloan Radio Show on YouTube. You can search and find me and follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. We also do put these into audio format on a podcast as well, but feel free to go back, listen to them, share them with your friends. We've got a lot of great stuff we'll talk about in today's show.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. If you just tuned in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the Real Estate Whiz Kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, other national publications. You may be seen him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, the morning show. You've heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Portman, Gary LeBlanc. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing, but the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yes, and again, we're into 2024, and my #1 priority is still the same as it's been the past few years. And looking back on this show, like I mentioned, I think maybe a 15th year doing it. Is that right, Dave? About that time, 15 years, some 14, 15, a long time, right? So ideally, the same goal that I have is just help people make better decisions, the largest assets. And if I have any regret, it's not talking about this earlier because I can still see faces and hear voices of people I talk to that listen to the show, made massive mistakes with their real estate and cost themselves $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. These are conversations that I had directly. And I see this every single week with clients that don't work with us or that we're working against on the other side, so to speak. And so what most people don't realize is they make this same mistake over and over and over. It doesn't matter how affluent they are, how old they are, how many properties they bought and sold. I see people that bought and sold dozens of properties still make the same mistake. And the mistake they make is thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And so I made a promise to myself that I'll talk about this on every single show, because that's all you really need to know. The other stuff is just kind of just updated info to keep you really on top of everything. But here's what most people do. They make the mistake of thinking all real estate agents are the same, and it could not be any further from the truth, right? Why? Because it's a service-based business that's driven by a human, right? And a human, they make or break the home sale based on how they handle these small variables. Just like if you go to a restaurant, you go to a great restaurant, one time you have an amazing experience, sometimes you have a terrible experience. The only difference there is the people or the person that you dealt with in that scenario, right? It comes down to how they actually execute and how obsessed are they with excellence and perfection in that scenario. Well, when you're dealing with your largest asset, your home sale or your home purchase, there's a lot of different basically nuances and a lot of different processes and steps that have to be handled. Just like any doctor, any lawyer, right? If you're charged with a crime you did not commit, the last thing you want is the cheapest attorney or the attorney who just got their law license that's only tried a few cases, right? You want the absolute best, most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law, who can give you a competitive advantage in the courtroom or the process to get you the outcome that you desire, right? It's the same exact thing you desire. You should demand and desire for your largest asset, which is real estate. Same thing if I have a sickness or an illness, right? I don't want just a random doctor who just started practicing medicine. I want the absolute best, most aggressive one who knows the ins and outs. And in that situation, it's life or death, right? And so you should demand that same level of excellence you're dealing with your largest asset, because they're all service-based businesses. What most people don't realize is this single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only. And that thing is the agent that you choose, period. Not the wall color, not the grass quality, not the time of year you list. It comes down to the agent you have and how they actually execute, because when they sell a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, right, it puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, AKA that ball gets dropped at any point, that costs you your hard-earned equity, and AK your property either doesn't sell, it sits in the market for 6, 8, 9 months, or what happens is that you do sell it, and I see this happen all the time, multiple times per week. It sells, the homeowner think they did great, but they left $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 on the table because they just think it's the market, but ultimately it's the agent, how they actually market the property. And these could be anything, small nuances from the quality of the photos, the actual order of the photos. There's psychology in how buyers search, and if the order of the photos is not right, it costs you traffic online. Less buyers look at your property, less buyers come in to look at it, and obviously you don't get higher offers in that scenario. And so there's so many things. What you realize is that with 118 different variables, it's very difficult for one single agent to juggle all of those, but they still try to do that over and over and over. It's how the industry has operated for 100+ years. And so that model does not work very well in today's marketplace with so many different websites, so many different technologies, so many different steps have to be done. And so what most agents end up doing is what we mention every week when we talk about the 3 Ps. They promise you the world to get the listings, tell you anything and everything that they think you need to hear to get the property listed, right? Because they're trying to survive in the business. What most people don't realize, the average agent on marketplace sells 4 homes per year, 1 per quarter. There's not a whole lot of money for them to eat food with, much less spend any money on marketing your property or to know the nuances of what's happening in the marketplace when they're only selling 4 properties per year. The second thing they do is they put it into the MLS, right, the multiple listing service, and they sit back and do the third thing, which is pray that someone else brings a buyer. They're okay getting half the commission. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing because they're trying to survive in the business. And so I see this every single day, especially in something this complicated. Anybody can get their license in a couple of weeks. And so we have even brand new agents that we've done deals with that we're on the other side with, and they don't even know how to fill out a contract. And this person is representing somebody in their largest asset worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, where every single detail matters, and they can't fill out the contract. And this happens weekly. And so it's important, if you understand, like, I want somebody who's the absolute best. And so when I got into business, I studied business before I got into real estate. I was a huge student of that, and studied business at Coastal Carolina. But more importantly, I said, there's got to be a better way. And I sought out, looked at what people did outside of real estate, and I brought systems and processes into real estate that creates a predictable result for our client. I designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System. And it's a system that I designed, and we trademarked it. But it's basically the only proven system that gets homes sold twice as fast and for up to 21% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. I designed it, and we can literally show you line by line by line exactly how it gets more money. And we can add up the actual math to show you how that makes that much of a difference. Because when you do all those things in the right order, it creates momentum in the process. We stack the dominoes up. And what it is we create more eyeballs, I like to say, or more demand or more views for properties, which gets them more traffic, which gets more interest, which sells them faster and for more money. And so that's exactly what we do. And so you owe it to yourself to at least learn about that, at least question about it. And your friends and relatives deserve to know about that too, because so many people don't know. They'll spend 20, 30 years building hard-earned equity at 15 minutes picking an agent. Even now, we still struggle with it sometimes. We meet with people, they have no criteria how to pick an agent. They just go with what their gut is, or who they like, or who's the cheapest, or who their friend recommended. And that's not really the right way to do it. You understand who understands the details here, who knows the nuances. What's your marketing program? How much do you spend in marketing? How much can you get in terms of views to my property, get more demand for it? All those things matter. And we designed a system that's backed up by two main things. Number one is technology. We spend a massive amount of technology to make sure that we can manage those variables proactively and nothing slips through the cracks. Where if I'm one single person, one agent that's trying to do everything, that's like having the same person at McDonald's through the front register, the drive-thru, and the french fries at the same time. That experience when you go to that McDonald's is not going to be very good, right? Because the one person is trying to juggle all the balls. It's going to be the same type of experience when you're dealing with your largest asset, which has 118 different variables that one person is trying to do, not just on your listing, but multiple other listings at the same time. And so we broke that down with a team of specialists, people that specialize in each part of the process. And so they're very, very dialed in and good at what they do. And so we have anything from inside sales, outside sales. We have basically an entire administrative team that handles listing coordination, closing coordination, photography, the virtual reality photography, the videography. We have a full-time graphic designer. We have all these things that we're able to make sure that we can manage. More importantly, we have a team of 25 plus salespeople who are on the phones all day, every day, making 16,000 phone calls a week to bring buyers into our listings. And everyone works in motion to get the most amount of leverage for our clients that we can. And so that's just for the seller side. On the buyer side, we have a very similar program called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you prior access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as the overall home inspection to get you that closing table successfully. But one thing that's super important is that we're very, very passionate about excellence and perfection and delivering to our clients. I'm super intense, as you can tell. I have that same intensity with our team, and we all push very, very, very hard to make sure that we get our clients the most money for their home, or the best possible home, the best possible price. So if you want to know more how it works, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. We're going to take a quick break, right back in a second.
The real estate market is constantly changing. Now, here to give us more insight into this is my friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. And I know certain programs make it a lot easier for the seller. Which ones do you offer?
Hey, Sean. In addition to our traditional program that sells your home for top dollar, we have an instant offer, a multi-offer, and a guaranteed offer program. I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars who are looking to buy homes in the Grand Strand right now.
And what kind of return can you expect from them?
Here's what I'll say. Every seller's needs are different. Some need maximum convenience, and we deliver that every single time. Some need the most amount of money, and we have a program for that as well. We have a trademark program that nets sellers up to 5 to 10% more money than traditional industry methods.
All right, great insight, and thank you for this update. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And consider your home sold.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers that time crunches, we got to sell it on a certain date. Date capture is almost even right now.
That's great. And if the seller has a bid for it,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market update. This I'm most excited about. We have last month's numbers in. We have last year's numbers in. And so one of my favorite months of the year for us to look back historically and say, hey, look, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. I'm a big nerd for numbers, and that's one thing that we use to help advise our clients to make better decisions with their assets. But we have two types of numbers we always talk about. I'll go through two types. One's like The front windshield numbers we talk about every week, those are properties that went under contract the last 7 days. I watch that number every single day in our office because it allows me to predict what's happening. And that's how, for the last few months, I've been able to predict the slowdown we've seen in terms of sales. You look at closed sales, those are the rear view mirror numbers. Those are the ones that closed last month. That's what the majority of the industry uses, right? The problem with that is that if they closed last month in December, it actually went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that. So it could have gone under contract in October, right? Close in December. So that doesn't give you real-time pulse or real-time feel of what's happening, but it does help us look and see what's happened historically overall. So look at the front windshield numbers. Hey, look, what's going on pending deals? It has bumped back up, which has been good a little bit in the last 7 days. Overall, it's been pretty decent in what's happening from a number standpoint. Actually, my thing is what we had last 7 days, 357 properties went under contract for $136 million, which just doesn't sound like a lot overall. Last week's show was 394 for $138 million. So very, very close. In the last 7 days, there's 8 properties over $1 million went under contract, which is pretty good. 64 properties over 500,000. If you go back just, a couple weeks ago, it was at 394, then 378, then 323, then 468. And what happened as rates continue to get higher, sales went down, and new pending deals went down, which we obviously know about in that scenario. The interesting piece that happened is rates went down in December. The problem was that was during Christmas and New Year's when a lot of people just weren't doing anything. They get that holiday paralysis, we call it. But if I was looking back historically, if I look back at last January's show, the same exact show, January 6, 2023, there was 364 properties that went under contract and there's 867 active listings for $125 million. Good news is right now we're at 357, which is very, very close, but the volume is $136 million versus $125 last year. So very, very similar. I think we're going to see a big jump here. There's been so many buyers. It's been on the holding pattern since rates were at 7-8%. You got to think if you're in a second home, there's overlays there that people are paying 9-10% interest rates for 30-year fixed mortgages, which is just very, very difficult for some people, right? So we have that blessing. It's continue to probably hopefully stay low in the 6s right now. We'll kind of talk about that in a minute, but great news into this first year. It's very, very good coming after a very slow November, December in terms of closed deals and pending deals. If you look back last month, look at December closed deals, the rear view mirror numbers, very interesting. Exactly what I talked about what happened in previous months. So if you look year versus year, so you take December 2023 versus December 2022, there's a 14.9% decrease in the amount of single-family resale homes sold, which is what majority of people own. It's what we use to keep pulse to the marketplace because that's what most people own and are kind of use that's kind of the middle ground there, right? There's only, though, 286 homes closed. What's interesting enough is I went back 5 years, and not one single month have we had anything that low. And so it's the lowest month in 5 years we've had in terms of closed deals. I went back 5 years back to September 2018, and the low there was 300 properties. And so right now in December 2023, we had 286. And so that's something to kind of look at like a 5 year. If we go back 10 years, we might be able to find something closer to that. In January 2016, there was 270 properties that closed. So the last time it was as slow as it was in this past December in terms of closed deals, it was January 2016. And that was very, very low for that year. Obviously, it's a little bit seasonal, but again, that was just what you see closed deals once your rates started jumping back up in September and October, right around 7s, high 7s, even up to 8% for a period there. And so that's just something to kind of look out for and realize. And if you look at the overall tracking of the last 3 months, you can see where that was very significant. So, for example, in August, there was 487 sales that closed. You go to September, 463. Go to October 415, November 377, and December 286. It felt like a little bit that we were at a dead stop, for a little bit there. And that was very, very scary kind of looking at the marketplace and what's happening. And we're pushing super hard. And so it's just something to kind of keep in mind of like, look, here's what was happening before. I do think we're going to see a rebound type effect or rubber band type effect because so many people have been wanting to buy, looking to buy, wanting to get out of their property, buy something else. So they were locked in. Rates were high 7s or 8%. Right now we're back in the 6s. And so many people who've been paralyzed for the past 2 months from really Thanksgiving or the month of November all the way through New Year's are now back in the pocket looking. Our phone's been blowing up. Our online traffic has been blowing up. Our team has been working really around the clock this past week really just kind of getting everybody lined up who almost feels guilty for not doing anything during the holidays. Now they're jumping back into it and taking action on buying something. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens where we have this kind of blessing or magic coming in from rates going back down. But very, very interesting piece there overall. If I look at prices, prices are pretty flat. Last month prices for single family resale homes were just up 0.8%. So it stayed flat really the past few months. It's bounced around. Last month, $371,500. So almost the exact same it was in December last year. Average sale price up slightly, up 7.7% at $484,276, and that's looking at December versus December. So December 2023 versus December 2022. November, though, it was $517,584. So it went from $517 November to $484 December. And again, that's because you're seeing a significant slump in sales. Prices did go down month versus month there. And overall, we may see that decline a little bit more. I do think my prediction is if rates stay down, you're going to see lots of buyers jump back in. Prices are going to jump back up. It's very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. With that, if I'm thinking about something, I want to take action earlier than normal, because if I wait for the typical spring market, there's not sure what's going to happen there. But what's happened is there's been so many people who've been holding off in September, October, November, December, who are going to jump back in now because they're being motivated and driven by rates coming back down to a 7-month low. And really the biggest drop in the 48-hour history they had since they've been tracking it since 2005. And so very, very interesting piece there overall. One thing that's really protecting this is inventory. Inventory is still 3.2 months of inventory, very, very, very low. And it's actually down from November. And so November, there's 3.5 months. Right now in December, only 3.2 months. And so as we talked about all the time, anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. This would be considered a super seller's market overall in that scenario. Showings were also down significantly in December. The average listing averaged 3.1 showings per listing. The last time that showings were that low was April 2020 at 2.5 showings per listing. If you remember, that was during COVID and the lockdown. So very, very scary. If you look back just in February 2022, the average listing averaged 8.3 showings. Right now it's doing 3.1. Now here's the problem. How many showings does it take on average to get a contract? It tracks this data in our MLS. And so the average showings it takes to get a contract is 13.8. And so it takes 13.8 showings on average to get a contract. The problem is the average listing right now is getting 3.1 showings. So you can see that problem there, 4 or 5 times the difference. And so the reality is, you want to make sure if you have any success in this market, you cannot list with just any old agent, any old discount agent or a friend. You have to have someone who can be able to get your property the exposure that it deserves, differentiation that it deserves, and get the eyeballs out there, because you have to be able to drive traffic. And see, what I do, I don't really, obviously I specialize in real estate. I'm a big nerd for real estate, but my forte, what I've studied for the past 2+ decades is marketing. I'm basically a marketer in the real estate business. And my forte is obviously driving traffic, bringing more people there. And that's something to look out for as well. Really quick into condo sales. Condo sales pretty much flat, down 2.0% at 341 condo sales. It did beat January of last year. January, there's only 322 condo sales. Into prices, median price for condos up 4.4%. It's been bouncing around the last couple months at $235,000, but it's going down, then back up. Average sale price for condos up 5.6% at $272,910. And so they're very, very low supply right now, too, at 4.4 months of supply. It is more than homes. And you're seeing the same exact thing there in challenge in terms of showings. The average showing right now for condos is 2.1 showings per condo, which is like dead stopped. The last time that they were that low was in April 2020, when it was getting 1.5 showings per listing. And that was during the lockdown, when people couldn't even stay in hotels at that time. Now, here's the other piece. If you look at how many showings it takes to get a contract, it takes 9.8 showings per listing. And so you want to get the same exact thing there. You have to have somebody. It's super simple. People just tend to overcomplicate this business and this game. It's like, look, how do I get the exposure to my property? How do I drive eyeballs to it? And you have to spend money to get people to look at the property, because you have to differentiate it in a place that's very, very crowded overall. And so that's something to kind of look at. If you look really quick at closed sales, the last 12 months, the last rolling 12 months for single families, down 21.5%. And so that's significant. So the last 12 months, the rolling average sales are down 21.5% overall. So that's very interesting to look at. Prices, though, good news, the last 12 months. So this is all of 2023. So if you look at all of 2023, sales were down overall 21.5% versus the previous year. Looking at prices over the last 12 months, from January 1st, basically coming to December 31st. Prices were up 5.9% from 424. Median price up 2.9%. So pretty flat for a 12-month period, right? So a lot of people that bought in January didn't gain a whole lot of equity in the last 12 months, only 2.9% at 370,000. So that's just something to kind of keep watching for. Overall, if you look at condos, very similar. If you look at condo sales the last 12 months, down 20.4% overall. Sales prices, median price up 6.2% at 239,000. And looking here at the average sale price of 7.3% at 276,712. And the one thing that's going to be the key dominator here, the key driver going forward, is going to be interest rates, right? Interest rates, we had a blessing, like I said, last week's show, 6.63. Right now, still in the sixes, which is great news. A 30-year fixed rate, 6.76% for a 30-year fixed rate. A 15-year fix, 6.04%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 7% even. A 5-year ARM, adjust rate mortgage, 6.23%. 30-year FHA, 6.18%, and a 30-year VA, 6.19%. So overall, very, very blessed to have that happen in January. You're going to see an earlier than usual spring market. If you're waiting for spring market, I urge you, if you're thinking about selling, reach out to us earlier now. There's no telling what's happening with the rates. Rates have already jumped up, just from a couple weeks ago at 6.62 up to 6.76. And you want to get this window when buyers who've been waiting for rates to come down are jumping back in and take advantage of this earlier than normal. So great news there overall. Hopefully we'll see a great January, people bouncing back. Take a quick break, right back in a sec with our new hot buyers alert. We're short on time, right?
Investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here
Yeah,
in Myrtle
only
Beach,
about 2
that
minutes
agent
left.
is our
Okay.
friend, Blake Sloan.
It's roasting in here. I'm about to die.
If you need to sell a home or buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan
This
can offer you.
huge,
So
that's
if
a-
you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy.
How much time we got?
Nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot Buyers Alert. My team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers looking to buy property here in the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach area. Even from $250,000 to $4.43 million. If you're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we're doing every week, really for 14 plus years here, is putting our money where our mouth is and sharing how many active buyers that I have with my team on my website with a username, password, account, looking to buy a property just like yours. We call them buyers in waiting. And we show that anybody we meet with, here's the exact buyers that we've already have in the pipe looking to buy your property. And that's how we sell faster and for more money. Right now, 74,826 active home buyers, 74,826 active home buyers. If you're thinking about selling, reach out to me immediately. Any friends and relatives you have them reach out to me immediately. We'll make sure that we're able to take great care of them. They owe it to themselves to get the most amount of equity with their hard-earned asset. Really quick success story. Amanda and Nancy owned a house in Merle's Inlet. Recently decided it's time to sell. They want to make sure they get the most amount of money, though, for their home, but didn't want to be a hassle. Thankfully, Amanda's friend used us at Sloan Group before to sell her home. Her friend recommended that she also reach out to us. We met with Amanda and Nancy, shared with them. We already had hundreds of buyers looking for the exact home just like hers in Merle's Inlet. I came in, designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, drove massive traffic. In a couple of weeks, Amanda and Nancy received a fantastic offer, almost for price on their home. Now they're able to move on with their future plans with maximum equity in their pocket. So if you want to be the next success story, reach out to us, give us a call, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime.